It's literally all around us, but you've probably never actually seen it. It's the hidden operating system behind the phone in your hand, the car you drive, and pretty much every huge company on the planet. Today, we're diving into industrial management. I mean, just think about it for a second. How on earth does a company juggle thousands of people, tons of raw materials, and just massive amounts of energy to create one single perfect product? And not just once, but millions of times over. Well, the answer lies in a discipline called industrial management. To really get this, we've got to go back in time. The Industrial Revolution was this incredible explosion of innovation, right? You had factories turning out goods on a scale nobody had ever seen before. But all this new power created a brand new kind of problem. How do you manage all that chaos? So let's get right to it. What exactly is industrial management? We're going to break down the core idea right now. Okay, so at its heart, industrial management is really a field of engineering that's focused on just one thing: designing better systems. It's all about taking these three key ingredients: people, materials, and energy, and mixing them together in the most productive way you can imagine. Now, this is where people often get confused. They mix it up with production management, but they're really not the same thing. Think of it like this. Industrial management is the architect who designs the master blueprint for the factory. Production management, that's the foreman on the ground every single day, making sure the crew is following that blueprint. One is about design, the other is all about execution. You see, as factories got bigger and more complicated, the old ways of just kind of winging it, well, they started to completely fall apart. This led to a ton of waste and inefficiency. A new, much more scientific approach was desperately needed, a way to turn all that industrial chaos into a finely tuned machine. This new way of thinking was really pioneered by a guy named Frederick Winslow Taylor, who's known as the father of scientific management. He laid out 4 key principles. First, he said, let's stop guessing. Replace those old rule-of-thumb methods with science to find the one best way to do any task. Second, scientifically select and train the absolute best person for that job. Third, bring the right job and the right worker together. And finally, fourth, create a clear division of labor. Management's job is to do the thinking and planning, and the worker's job is to do the executing. And look, this wasn't just some abstract theory for a classroom. Scientific management had some very clear, very practical goals: to make every single industrial operation better, faster, and cheaper. This really captures the constant juggling act that managers face. They've got to cut costs and squeeze every last drop of productivity out of their machines and people, but they can't let quality suffer while they do it. And all of this has to happen while hitting insane deadlines. At the end of the day, every one of these objectives is really about one thing: making the customer happy. Having great principles is a good start, but it's not enough. You need a structure to actually put them into practice. So how do you organize an entire company to hit these goals? Well, let's check out the different models. First up is the line organization. This is the oldest and simplest setup there is. Just think of a military chain of command. It is a straight line from the general at the top all the way to the bottom. A manager has direct authority over their team. It's simple, decisions get made fast, and it works great for small businesses. Then you've got the functional organization. This is different. Here, you group people based on their expertise. So you have an engineering department, a finance department, a marketing department, and so on. The big advantage here, you get deep specialization. The experts in each area are in charge, which is absolutely perfect for bigger companies that need that kind of focused brainpower. The line and staff model is basically a hybrid, an attempt to get the best of both worlds. You still have your line managers with that direct authority making the calls, but you also bring in staff managers, specialists in things like HR or legal, who provide expert advice. This way, you get the clear command structure plus the deep knowledge to make better decisions. And finally, we have the more modern matrix organization. This structure is super fluid. Let's say a company wants to design a new airplane. They'll pull specialists from all those different departments: engineering, finance, marketing, and form a temporary team just for that project. This model is incredibly flexible, and it's perfect for industries that make really complex stuff. Okay, so we have the theory, we have the organizational structures, but how does this all translate from a blueprint in an office to the actual factory floor? Let's look at where these principles are really applied. The one word you have to remember here is integration. That's the whole game. It's about taking every single piece of the puzzle, the product design, the resources, the people, the processes, and weaving them all together into one single seamless system.
And this process touches absolutely everything, from the very beginning to the very end. It starts with the product's initial design. It dictates the physical layout of the factory. It involves studying the best methods for every task, forecasting demand, controlling inventory, and finally ensuring the quality of the finished product. It really is a complete end-to-end system.
This all sounds incredibly organized, super efficient, right? But trying to implement it perfectly in the real world, that is a whole other story. Even with the best blueprint, managers face some massive, constant challenges. Just imagine being in their shoes. First off, where do you even build the factory? Then, of all the possible ways to make your product, which one is the absolute best? How do you design something that people actually want to buy, but is also simple enough to manufacture? And while you're figuring all that out, you have to constantly control costs and, maybe the hardest part, find, train, and motivate the skilled people to make it all happen. It's a lot. So, what's the big takeaway here? Industrial management isn't just some boring topic in a business school textbook. No way. It is the invisible operating system that powers our entire modern world. It's the system that turns complex ideas into the real products in our hands, and it does it efficiently and at a massive scale. And that leaves us with a really fascinating final thought. For over 100 years, the main goal of this whole system has been efficiency, making things better, faster, and cheaper. But as we look to the future, what's next? Should the new goal be sustainability? Or maybe employee well-being? Or what about creativity? That's the big question the next generation of managers is going to have to answer.